Hi, quick content warning for this video. I'm going to be talking about restraining of autistic people. I'm going to be talking about suicide talk and about a lot of stuff that can be very sensitive. It can be triggering for a lot of people. So if that is triggering for you, go check out my other videos instead of this one. Hi, hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Ariane and today I'm going to be ranting about CS movie named Music. Because it's one of the worst movies I've ever watched in my entire life. And I've seen a lot of bad movies. I love bad movies. I love teen movies, and they're objectively bad. But Music is a non-enjoyable bad. You cannot even have it as a comfort movie or anything like that. It's just that amount of bad. It's horrible. So, disclaimer before I go into my opinion about this movie, I'm not autistic. And I know nothing about movies, so it's my opinion just as a regular watcher of movies and media, I guess. If you want the opinion of autistic people, there are literally like 200 videos of those out there here on YouTube and stuff, so you'll be fine. You can find them, listen to them, and they have a lot to say. Way more than what I can say because I'm not adding anything new to conversation. I just want to get out of my chest my opinion. So that's it. Problems with the movie, there are a lot. First of all, Music is about a girl named Sue who has to take care of her sister named Music. Her sister is a non-speaking autistic girl who's like apparently around 16. They never say her age, but she's a teen. And Sue has to take care of her because their grandma died and no one is able to take care of Music, so she has to do it. Sue is an adult who's emotionally very immature, and the whole movie is using marginalized communities to make sure that she learns her lesson and she becomes a better person. That's what the movie is about. There's a lot of things, like the movie is very unrealistic, like the fact that in no world, not in the one that we live in, random people are going to take care of a non-speaking autistic the way they do in this movie. Like, no one is going to just help a non-speaking autistic going through their daily routine, like their daily walk, and buy things for them. Also, they show this routine like twice, and then even though it's stated that her whole life is a routine, which is very common for neurodivergent people to stay within a routine, it's easier for them, and changing that routine can be extremely stressful and can cause meltdowns. Even though they state that her whole life is a routine, the routine lasts like the first 20 minutes of the movie and then we never see it again basically. So that doesn't make sense. Also, basically the movie, as it is about Sue and not about music, even though the title of the movie is Music, it uses Ebo, who's a black man that comes from, I don't remember which country in Africa, but from an African country, Ghana I believe it was, don't quote me on that, I'm not sure, and how he's a token black friend that helps Sue get better, and he's like the good guy, and he's only there as a meme. Like, he's not a character of its own, it's more like that character solely exists, so the white savior complex character gets to improve, which, that's pretty racist. Also, how they portray this African man, like everything has to do with how he is from Africa and how different things are, and the fact that even if when he won a fight in the US, it was with the flag of his country. Like, everything has to be very clear that he is a black immigrant, like an African immigrant. There's no reason for that. Like, can we have people of color as characters that are something else than just a means so the white main character improves? Because that was the only reason why Ebo existed. To teach Sue how to take care of music. Also, he states he helps a lot music, but never says anything to Sue about how Sue does stuff and how hurtful it can be. When Sue tells Ebo like she's thinking of leaving music in a different, like in a facility so music can get help, Ebo doesn't say anything about it. He says like nothing. And also, he's like a teacher, but we're shown like in very weird ways. Like, everything is shown in a weird way that doesn't make sense, taking into consideration music's a schedule and take into consideration how she is supposed to be a non-speaking autistic. So yeah, so music, this non-speaking autistic girl, is used also as a prop for Sue to learn. The objective of the the objective of the movie is not for you to understand music. It's not for you to know more about non-speaking autistics and understanding them and their experiences in life. It's about mocking an autistic person throughout the whole movie, treat them as an object and as a child when they're not, and ignoring completely the fact that they're human, the fact that they're a person with rights, and using that as a prop. Disabled people are not a prop for you to use for development. There are people who have needs and have thoughts and a lot of stuff going on. They're not props for you to use to improve as a person. Also, who calls their daughter music? That's very cheesy. I would never call my daughter music. That's a bad choice of a name. Also, another really big problem with this movie is how it promotes restraining. Not only there was like 3 or 4 restraining scenes, like one at the beginning when Sue sees music the next day and she doesn't read the book. This is something that doesn't make sense. Sue and Music's grandma left a book with everything that Music has to do, and there's a scene where Sue is reading that, but then the next day she acts like she doesn't know what Music is doing and she doesn't understand why Music is having a meltdown because her schedule is changing. And then she shows, like, he reads the book, but it's like, didn't you just read the book like last night? Wow, now you magically ignored everything you saw in that book? That didn't make sense. Music starts having a meltdown, so Sue tries restraining her, then Ebo arrives. Ebo restrains her and says that he is crushing her with her love. Then there is also a restraining scene in the park where Sue has to restrain Music because Ebo says that as a black man he's not going to restrain an autistic white woman because that would be very inappropriate in the eyes of society. So he knows that what he's doing is wrong, but he still does it. He tells Sue, like, you have to do it now instead of me because I cannot do it, I'm a black man. You shouldn't do that. And every time I think there's more scenes, there's like 1 or 2 more scenes, but I don't remember which ones there are right now. They're not as big, but every time Music starts doing something that Sue doesn't want, she takes her by her wrist, like, very strongly, which that is also dangerous. Restraining is extremely dangerous for autistic people. It has killed a lot of autistic kids and it still kills autistic kids nowadays. Restraining is not a good thing. It's deadly, it's dangerous. And also, then Sue asks, well, how did you know how to deal with Music's meltdown? How did you know that she wanted to, like, be held? And he says that my brother was also born like that. He doesn't say autistic, he says just born like that, and that from where he's from, autism is seen as a curse. It doesn't say autism, he says special needs, and how special needs are not really understood. Disabled people are not special needs. Disabled people are disabled people. And they only have different needs because society does not accommodate them. That's why it's seen as something bad and they're disabled, because society disables them. If society was accommodating towards disabled people, disabilities wouldn't be as disabling as they are. And so he says how his brother liked to be restrained because he felt secure and he felt loved or something like that. But you don't know if Music wants to or likes to because he never says it. Another thing is how Music is always portrayed having like 3 emotions. She's happy like 90% of the movie, and then when she's not happy, she's either scared or overwhelmed, like having a meltdown, or she's sad. And they give her like a tablet where she can say like yes, no, and emotions like sad, scared, happy, and she literally just says that, like, I'm scared, I'm sad, I'm happy, yes and no, nothing else, because apparently she can't say anything else. And yeah, non-speaking autistics won't use their voice, but they will use other means to communicate. One of them is using those type of like text-to-speech tablets that they're like to be able to communicate. And in here apparently she can only feel 3 things and she can only say yes and no and nothing else. because we have to personalize and basically reduce disabled people to having like 3 emotions. Great. Amazing, isn't it? Also, she's treated like a child, like literally. In one scene, Evo says to Sue that you're mentally like her, very close to her in age, something like that. You're like 9. Basically, that implies that he's saying that mentally, music is like 8 or 9 years old. Like mentally she's a kid and she's unable to understand complex things that she should at her age, which we never get her age, but it should be around like 16 or 17. Great, you compare it to a child when you're a teen or almost an adult just because you can't speak. That's not okay. Also, there's a scene where April explains why she has headphones, that noise cancelling headphones, and that she has the capability, like she understands everything she hears, she just doesn't respond, and how she can listen to things that are very far away, and that's why she uses the headphones, so it's not as overwhelming. Even though he says that she understands everything, music is never treated in the movie as someone who understands everything going around her. They don't tell her all the information, like they don't tell her the fact that her grandma died or the way she died. They don't tell her like anything. They treat her as something like a bother. Like they treat her as something you have to take care of. Something, not someone. She's not treated as a person with rights and with thoughts and everything. Even though they say that she understands everything and that she thinks a lot, that isn't reflected in how they treat the characters throughout the movie. Another thing is that in a moment when Sue has to sell drugs to Sia, because Sia does a cameo in the movie, like Sue tells music, please don't have a meltdown because I have to sell to this really important client. Anyone with a type of a mental illness or that causes you a type of meltdown or panic or anxiety attack knows how triggering it can be that someone tells you not to have a meltdown, because as it is something you can control, and especially when you know that you're bringing that person into a place where they will be overwhelmed and they're very likely to have an attack and to have a meltdown, and you tell them like, please don't have a meltdown, please don't ruin my day with your disability, with what you are going on, which is extremely selfish and can be very, very triggering for someone with a mental illness that causes that type of reaction. It has definitely been to me when people say like, hey, please, like, just don't have a meltdown, and I was like, oh, great, didn't think of it. Never crossed my mind to not have a meltdown of something that can be very triggering, and you know it's going to be very triggering, but instead of, you know, trying to avoid me going through a very triggering experience, you just tell me not to be triggered by that experience as if I could control it. Yeah, no. That's not how it works. Ugh, this movie makes me really mad. It's bad. Just so bad. Also, every time there's a song that comes up and there's a video, it does make sense. It does not tell us anything about how music sees the world or how about she really experiences something. They're just like music videos to the Sia's album. And honestly, if Sia wanted to make a movie to promote her album, she could have done something else. She could have used like a pet or a kid instead of an autistic teen, and it would have been way better. It would still been a terrible movie, and instead of using an autistic person, you would have used a kid or a pet to do the same thing, which is still wrong. But yeah, it would have been less terrible, in my opinion. At least we wouldn't have, you know, the mockery of autistic people with their movements and their meltdowns and their experiences, and at least we wouldn't have, you know, an autistic kid treated like an object or as if she wasn't there. Like, for me, the movie was like sensory overload. It was way too many colors, way too many things happening. The music also did not make sense. Like, nothing makes sense in this movie. They touch about a lot of things and they don't go in depth with it. They touch how Sue is an alcoholic and she sells drugs, and when she sells drugs to Sia, Sia says that those drugs are going to help kids in Haiti because they just had an earthquake and they need drugs so they don't feel the pain. And that's charity. I don't think I need to explain why that's wrong in so many levels. So yeah, let's just send illegal drugs in a private plane and then say how that is charity because we're making people not feel. after they went through a tragedy. Yes, Sia uses people's tragedy and people's stories as means to fill her savior, like white savior complex, because she needs to do so for other people so she looks better as a person. And she definitely did a lot of research. So much research that she worked with Autism Speaks, that believes in eugenics and treats autistic people as stuff instead of people, and wants a cure for autism. And so much that she has multiple restraining scenes, and she promotes restraining in her movie. So with this movie, something really similar to Cuties happened for me. Is like, you know, the trailer came up and everyone's like, okay, this movie's absolute bullshit, this is dangerous, it promotes a lot of dangerous things, and people were like, oh, wait until you watch the movie. And then we watched the movie and it's like, yeah, it's exactly what we thought it was going to be, and worse. You don't need to watch the movie to understand what's happening and to know that it's hurtful and it's damaging. And it already has effects. I read a comment in another video about how a girl said that because of this movie, the harassment towards autistic kids in their school went up like for a lot, and multiple tried to take their own lives because of how they felt with the amount of harassment, that it was like way bigger now than it was before due to movies like music. It is dangerous, it has real effects, and people are going to suffer because of this movie. This movie does not teach you anything to you, it doesn't accomplish anything. Also, it doesn't have any type of content warning at the beginning of the movie, like maybe something towards like epilepsy due to the amount of colors and flashes and stuff, or the fact that there's suicide talk in this movie, how Sue talks that she tried to kill herself and there's no trigger warning whatsoever. That is also dangerous. And how then at the end of the movie, Sue learns and then she's going to take care of music. And a happy ending. Yay! No, it is not. Also, there's another non-speaking person in this movie. It's a guy that takes care of music, and apparently they're like in love or something. At least it's hinted that they like each other, and we see very small interactions between one another, and he gets killed. So yeah, the other non-speaking person gets killed in the movie. Great. When you have a character from a marginalized community, you either use them as a prop or you kill them. Yeah, there's nothing good in this movie. Don't watch it, don't bother. It's just bad. And I didn't even go in depth about how Sia was extremely ableist and the way that she responded to comments, and she responded on Twitter and everything, and how she deleted her Twitter because of the critics. And I was soft with this because there's a lot going on, and I would really recommend you watching videos from autistic people giving their opinion. And also, an organization of non-speaking autistic made a short film about this, like in how media talks over them instead of you talking with them to bring awareness. So I'm going to leave that film in the description. I'm going to leave a bunch of links to videos, reviews of autistic people for the movie, so if you're interested in their opinion, which you should, because the only opinion that matters in here is going to be in the description down below. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.